How's it going, Wildcats? This is the Words to the Wildcat podcast, season 2, episode 5. And it being episode 5, this will be our last episode of this fall quarter. And we would just like to say that it's been a very great experience and opportunity, allowing us to just get an opportunity to talk with y'all. And we love to show appreciation to all of our guest speakers and especially to all of you who are able to listen. And with that being said, let's get to the introductions. My name is Tommy Fernandez, and with me, as always, is Areli Ruiz.
What's up, Wildcats? Thank you so much for joining us today. Our last episode was themed around foundations of leadership, and we had an amazing discussion with CWU alumni Anthony Peterson. If you haven't gotten a chance to check it out, make sure to do so.
Yeah, please do. It was a great conversation we had. And today's episode's theme is going to be on professional management. And remember, Wildcats, for listening to today's episode, you can receive credit towards earning your Wildcat Leadership Certificate by just completing a simple, quick assessment of this episode.
Awesome. And we are so excited to have Associate Professor Teresa Devine joining us today. She is currently a professor at Central Washington University who has an extensive educational background. Devine, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, so we can go ahead and get started right now. Do you want to tell our Wildcats a little bit about yourself, a little bit about like what you do on campus?
I am associate professor in the Department of Law and Justice, and I used to be advisor of the Black Student Union. I currently advise the Law and Justice Club, and that's about it. I teach my heart out.
Well, we love to hear that. And Devine, one thing I remember when I first met you, you actually gave a presentation for this cohort that Aurelie and I are part of, the Cross-Cultural Leadership Program. And
yes.
That really just highlighted to me was just your ability just to honestly just be real, be upfront, and not shy away of, saying what you feel and just being your authentic self. And I have a couple of friends that are in the law and justice program, and then they speak so highly of you as a professor. So I'm kind of curious on is that just your style, just being who you are, being your authentic self?
It is who I am, and I try to be myself always 100. And I want all students, you should be able to be yourself because you can't really be anybody else. And I think that it's just part of who I am. I'm from the Bronx, New York. And all of that stuff about me, my Blackness, my Latino-ness, my urbanness comes out. And sometimes I do feel that I don't belong because of those things. But most of the time, I feel like it is who I am, and I can't change that. And it pours all over the classroom and onto people. And sometimes you smell like cocoa butter, and sometimes you think you on the city street, but it is what it is. I mean, but it doesn't mean that I don't come from a place of love. I don't want the best for all students at Central. It's just who I am. And in some spaces, it's a good thing. And in some spaces, it's not, to be perfectly honest. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I love to hear that because when I hear and see professors like you be their like authentic selves, I have a couple like professors like shout out to Doctora Flores, Dr.
Yes.
G, love them. They're also professors I would say embody that authentic professionalism. And I feel like that is just something so amazing to have. So I really appreciate you. I know it's not always easy to be that authentic professional, but in terms of like professionalism and trying to be your authentic self as well, something we wanted to highlight was just the idea of the dominant culture and what a professional should look like, and what kind of ideas do you think that kind of like takes a hold of professional management, and how do you kind of overcome all of those dominant cultures and dominant ideas?
Right. I do agree to a certain extent. There is a level of professionalism we must have. So, for example, I teach the law part of the Law and Justice Department. The Law and Justice Department is broken up into why crime happens, the study of crime, those kind of things. And then there's the law part. Those who want to go to law school is, how is the laws affecting communities and things like that. So in our department, we have a Supreme Court panel where we choose all the faculty or those faculty who want to get involved, choose a student to present a case that is currently on the Supreme Court. and we go on, we compete against each other as faculty, not as students. And because one student can win the best presentation and win like the prize for source. And so it's very competitive in my department. And so I always beat everybody. I beat the brakes off everybody in my department. And part of it is one that I give my students all of my time who are mentoring to do this presentation. Sometimes it's 2 students, sometimes it's 3, and only one can win. And we work as a team. In addition to practicing your speaking, you got to do your research. If you want to win, you have to meet with me every single week to fill in those holes that are missing. And then the other part of it is that you have to dress appropriately. A lot of our students don't know how to dress professionally, and it's not their fault. And so one of the things I do is I make them send me a picture of what they're going to wear that day. And even the boys, they have to have the proper undershirt under their white shirt if they're going to wear a shirt and tie. And for the ladies, you got to pull it in and cover it up a little bit. But you have, in order to look professional, you want them to hear what you're saying. You want them to understand that case and be moved by that case, and not by necessarily how tight your clothes are or how disheveled or wrinkled you are, that they can't hear you. So in that sense, there is a level of professionalism when you're presenting to the public, and it's competitive. And those who are going to go on to law school have to learn that, because you got to do your moot court competition or your trial club or whatever is going on at the institution that you're at. You have to be able to show up to events, dress properly, and to be able to rock it. It's not all just reading and writing. And so in that sense, there is a level of professionalism. But I do love, you can wear your shirt and tie and come with the swag. Like, do what you got to do. You want to rock your colors. You want to wear a bright shirt. That's fine. Who you are should come out, because who we are is unique, and who we are is the shit. And so it's really important that that part of you comes out, and you are who you are, and it has to be in everything. You don't want to hide behind something like that is not you.
Yeah.
Who we are is magical and beautiful. It's like music. When people see you, they should be like, oh yeah, oh, ow. So that's what I think, and that's what I try to bring to the classroom. Not only are you going to learn the law, you're going to be moved by it every day. That's my goal. And for some people, that's unprofessional. For some people, that's considered you just present the law and that's enough. But for me, it's not enough. So yeah.
Yeah, and
there is some of that has to happen.
Yeah, and we love to hear that, and I'm sure all of your students really just appreciate that you go that extra mile for them.
Not all, but yeah.
Yeah, not all.
Yeah.
Well, I'm wondering how that is for you, being an associate professor on campus. I'm sure you have a lot of students that even when you have your available office time, they come to you to seek knowledge, to seek wisdom, just ask advice. But how do you manage that as a professional with everything else you have to do being a professor on campus? How do you avoid not spreading yourself out too thin and just being there for support for students while also being able to do all of your responsibilities being a professor here at CWU?
It can be very difficult because that interaction, that coming into my classroom, that time I spend on source is not kind of matriculated into our performance, really. There's no way to really show that in your performance as a faculty member, that this is what you're doing and that you're spending time. So like, for example, in Farrell Hall, I started the food pantry because our building is filled of students all day long, because we have several classes. At one point we shared it with Soch, now we share it with poli-sci. And so students were coming in and out and they were hungry. And so I would spend my own money filling that pantry, and it got very expensive and it got very hard. Like I would say I would put microwave mac and cheese. I would put 4, 5, 8 out, walk away, to go to and it's gone like that, like in seconds. And that's okay, but it was hard to keep up. So I had to go to push and make sure that they filled that pantry. Nobody, you don't get credit for that. You don't get promotions for those things. And my office can be filled with students that sometimes I have to be like, look, you have to leave right now because I have to do this, or I have to give this one student confidentiality, and so I need you to leave. We're going to discuss their grades. So it can be hard, and I never want to turn a student away. But it's important to give students your time. And so when you are a person of color at a predominantly white institution and we recruit students of color, they need us, they want us, they come to find us. And they didn't come all of this way and find you and hear about you and come to your office for you to be like, I ain't got time for you, get out of here. So you have to open your arms and say, it's gonna be okay. Yeah, we live in a Trump town. Yeah, it's gonna be all right. And you're here to do your job. I'm here to do my job. You're gonna rock this. And they need us. In addition to that, the faculty need each other. I know that a lot of students of color say, we need more faculty and staff of color, but faculty and staff of color need them too. Like I need Susanna Flores to be my friend, right? To have my colleague, my comrade, to tell me that she loves me and I tell her that I love her. And she says my love sustains her. That is important to us. So it goes both ways. We need faculty and staff need other faculty or staff of color so that we can have a community and we have a place to share our hearts, right? Because you in reality, you're students. I can't hang out with you. I can't tell you my pains and my loves and my wants. I'm supposed to be there for you. And so we need a community for ourselves. But it is a pleasure though to do the work. It really is, to watch a young person come in and be like, I don't know what I want to do. Oh my God. And then blow the fucking roof off Central. This is what y'all do. Just a little bit of time and attention and y'all rock Central. Yeah, it's a pleasure.
And that honestly makes my heart just so happy. Like it genuinely makes my heart explode with joy just hearing some stuff like that. Just because I, for one, being a student of color, being a mujer on campus, I definitely hear what you're saying because I have been connected with Doctora Flores since my freshman year. And it has been a roller coaster for me being here at Central, just being separated from my family and just trying to find my place. But she was one of the first people to even tell my parents, like, hey, I'm going to take care of her. And I will remember those words for the rest of my life. And I feel like that speaks so much and so highly of all of y'all, just because our idea of a professional sometimes is in and out, let's get the job done. I'm clocked out. Sorry, can't do it anymore. But I feel like that just shows so much from all of y'all, like every professor on like at Central and beyond. Like I feel that just speaks so much about you actually care about your profession, what you're willing to do for the job. Because even though our idea of professionalism might just be a title, yeah, you earned the dean title or you earned this like CEO title, I feel like it goes so much more. It's beyond the title. It's what you do with the job. And I feel like it's not necessarily a question, but I just wanted to connect with you a moment because honestly, thank you for sharing that because I didn't realize how much professors need us students of color to just kind of connect and interact with them to be able to have that sense of community as well.
And the other thing that we do also at Central that I'm really proud of is that we kind of have a network. So if I met you and I know that you need a Susanna, I'm gonna call Susanna and I'm gonna be like, listen, this young woman that you have to meet, I'm sending her your way. And that's what we do. We're a network of people who are trying to create that circle for you to be successful. And I don't know, I can't speak for Susanna, but I know for myself that I feel like there's so much work to be done and I'm the person, I have to do some of it. And I think we had a discussion before that I do my job, I teach, I grade, I do all those things, but sometimes I get in trouble.
Yeah.
I get in trouble for things that I feel like are on my heart to do that I don't always ask permission first to do. Like, for example, when Trump got elected in 2016, um, he began to sign these executive orders, and one of those executive orders was to close the countries, to not allow certain people from certain countries to come, Muslim countries, for example, and it created a sentiment on campus and around the country, against Muslim people, like really. The travel bans, right? You can't travel here from your country. And so in 2016, we had already designated the Muslim prayer rooms in Hertz Hall, but they were not open. And now you're saying there's going to be this travel ban. And I had other people in which that I spoke to. Saeed Mohammed was on campus, and um, he was an advisor in Hertz. And I went to him and I was like, we got to do something. Also, my father had died. He was Muslim, and I was on my heart to be like, I got to do something. And his life and his burial was the most incredible experience in my life. My father came to me ill. I took care of him, thinking that, because he had me, his favorite child, to take care of him, he would make it, but he didn't. He lived 6 months, and he wanted to be buried as a Muslim, and I was like, how am I gonna do this? So I called Yakima. Yakima, it doesn't work out. I call, and so then I run into Saeed Muhammad, and Saeed says, I'll call my dad. His dad said, oh yeah, this is how much it costs to get buried in Covington, Washington. Plus you have to move the body. It was a lot of money. It was like $10,000 plus another 2 or 3 grand to move him when he passes away. And I told him, look, we can't afford it. We got 1,000 each, me and my sister, to bury my dad. So we'll probably cremate him. And my dad went very quickly, like 2 weeks or 3 weeks later, he was gone. And Saeed didn't judge me at the time I told him that, but we were in Seattle at the time where he died. And Saeed called his father, and a few men from the mosque came and said, we will pray for him. When they heard he was sick and that he would die, they prayed over his body. They prayed outside the door on their knees. And I was so worried that people would see them outside the hospital room and like yell at them or hurt them. And I was like, be careful, the public sentiment, please, and they were like, no, we got this, God's got this. And it was very beautiful. And I know my father heard the prayers over his life and over his body. And they paid for everything. They didn't know him. They never saw him before. But because he was Muslim, that was their brother. They barely let me give my $2,000 and buy his plaque. I had to be like, no, he's my father, right? And that, when I say his death was beautiful, it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. For people who don't know you, to pay for you to be buried in the way in which God you chose, right? It was beautiful. So I had that on my heart. And this travel ban happens. And I hear that these prayer rooms are not open. So Saeed got the keys. In the middle of the night, my husband, a member from the BSU, I think it was Jayana who helped us, and Michelle Cyrus from Diversity Center brought her steamer. We started cleaning out the rooms, moving file cabinets and stuff, and vacuuming the floor, went to the store, bought rugs and put them down. It was beautiful. The women's room and the men's room. And I think we did it on a Wednesday. By that Friday, they had the first Juma on campus and every room was full. But when I say that I get in trouble, I did ask permission. I didn't call a dean or a vice president and say, can we please open these rooms? I just did it in the middle of the night because I felt like it was the right thing to do. And, I was told that I was going to get in trouble. I was bullied into believing that another vice president would get in trouble because of what I did. And I had to call around and apologize, but come to find out, everybody was like, that's all right. And that nobody got in trouble. And so, that's what I mean when I don't always do it the right way, the professional way, but it was urgent in my heart because people felt scared. And Juma is about unity and community every Friday. And so I was like, we have to create the space for them to gather. And we did it, and it was great.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. And you know how you talk about how it maybe wasn't like as professional, but I think that was just you just being human and you just believing that this was the right thing to do. And that just makes us just so happy and appreciative that everything worked out. And as I said, the story that you shared was amazing. And kind of like going back, you kind of touched on this a little before, just at Central, we like to say that we are a diverse student population, but then that doesn't really reflect our faculty, our professors, all our staff on campus. So I want to know, as you coming into Central for the first time, how was that for you, kind of navigating through this university that, even this town, as you said, a Trump town, more conservative views, just what was that experience like, just navigating, finding your community within?
Wow, that was like 15 years ago.
Oh,
At first, it was it was really scary,
yeah.
and in the very beginning, the students would give me really bad evaluations and tell me to go back to the ghetto, um, and things like that. And so, and try to talk over me and heckle me when I first got there, and say stuff like, go back to the ghetto, Black people commit all the crimes, things like that. And the first quarter, honestly, I would go home and cry, like, these white kids hate me, like I don't know what else to do. But then my sister came to visit me. I got here in September. She was here by October, like, I want to know what's going on. And so, I me and my sisters raised each other. So it was, it's like, you can do anything. If you want this, you can do this. And like a lot of faculty of color, we're first in our families to be PhDs and JDs and to go this far. And first to be, university professors. And so my sister was like, if you want this, you're gonna have to fight for it. And so I realized that, I'm the boss. I am the one who holds your grades in my hands. This shit right here is me. Like, I run this. This is my classroom. And so by the end of that first quarter, I was like, hold on, wait a minute. You want me to go back to the ghetto? I'm not. And you will leave this classroom until you learn some respect. And so when I learned that I had the power, and that I worked too hard to let some people, like some kids, bully me, then I got it. Then I learned to control my classroom. And I do a speech beforehand, like, yeah, I'm Black and I'm from the Bronx, and you probably never met anybody like me. But if you hang in there, we gonna have the greatest experience you've ever had, with a Black professor. And I tell them I am Black, and all the things that I'm going to talk about is facts and all these things, but they are part of who I am. And I think that's why students want faculty of color, because we give our all, we give everything for our students and for you all to be successful. But yeah, it was hard. I was lonely. It was very lonely, and it was very scary. But I did make a very good friend that is still my friend, and um, we're very different. And her name is Lucinda Carnell, and she's in biology. And she came in that I was an adjunct, and then I got on tenure track. She came on the tenure track when I came on tenure track. And we talk a lot. We still talk a lot about how to get through it, how to make your way. And then also Dr. Bobby Cummins in the English department was very helpful too. And so I found my community. I sought them out. And that's a lot. It's very much like what the students do when you get here. You find your group, you find the BSU, you find your Mecha, you find FASA, and that's your community. And even if you don't join a club, students find their community. And the faculty and staff have to do the same thing. We have to. We need each other. And we want them here just as bad as you do. I promise you. You know, every time I see Susanna Flores, my heart, I'd be like, I love you. So, yeah.
I'm just
It
so
was
happy you
hard.
took back your power. In that incident, I don't know if I would have been able to keep it quote unquote professional. I'd be so mad if people
Oh,
were
listen, I did struggle with that where somebody says, well, Black people commit all the crime. And I'll be like, okay, hold on. This is how it works, right? We're over policed, you know, we're over incarcerated for minor offenses. It just appears that way, you know, and so you got to understand the disparities and things like that. And so, you know, you have to give them the real facts, the story behind what you're seeing on the news. And I try to tell them that's what you're gonna get with me. So. But yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, and you mentioned something about like faculty of color being the first in their families to get their PhD, even maybe even get their AA for who knows, you know?
Right.
As a first generation student myself, I kind of want to know your perspective and how you kind of guide students like BIPOC students or first generation students and how they can navigate Central Washington University or maybe any university, you know?
Well, again, I think clubs are important for students of color because it gives you that support and that strength to move forward. But also seek us out. We tend to be very busy sometimes, and with COVID, I know it's really hard to reach out. But when we were in our offices, I know that the faculty that I know, Dr. G, Dr. Garcia, and Poli Sci, our offices are open for you, and we're here to do all that we can. And also seek out the different programs like TRIO and the McNair program. If you want to go on and get your PhD, the McNair program is the thing to do. And so I think that's a good way to navigate your way. And then just to trust that it's going to be okay. And I know that it's hard, and I know that it can be lonely, but you can do it. And then the other part of that is to remember that you on a mission, boo. You on a mission. You came here to get your shit, to get your paper, to get them degrees, so that when your parents come, we like, congratulations, right? They've been working their hearts out to get you right here. And there's nothing anybody can say to you to keep you from getting it. You know what I'm saying? Like you came to do a job, and that's what I try to hope my students of color understand, that this is a mission that you came to do, that your parents and your parents' parents sacrificed for you to do, and you got to roll like this gangster shit right here. I'm coming to get it, and it might be easy for some and hard for others, but it can't be that hard. Because your parents is still grinding, right? If you got to go to the library, if you got to get tutored, if you're gonna miss a party, hey, you're doing it for your people. So that at graduation, I can be like, Mom, you did it. Because that's what I say too. And the other thing that I feel like I'm bragging, but one of the things that I did when I got here was I started the very first students of color graduation, and it was through the Black Student Union. We held the very first. It was like 8 students, and we had stoles, our kente stoles. And with that, I didn't ask permission. We just did it. Me and Abola J. Maje Kobaje, we just did it. And I had a friend in the Diversity Center, George A. Popovich, who was like, yeah, do it. And we did it, and we got a lot of complaints. Right? Why is there a separate graduation? why you haven't separate? And they was writing me, emailing me, like these mean ass emails, like, oh, so now we doing segregation again, right? Stuff like that. Like, really, y'all? So I would just send the emails to Popovich because he liked to fight. And he would email people back. And he just said, just keep doing the work. And after that, we had Mecha Latinx graduation, which is fucking phenomenal. Y'all graduation, y'all go hard. Oh my God. And then FASA, and then, you know, the equals graduation, and so now it's everything. And then, but people don't understand, even some Black people, you know, gave me a hard time about the awards that I chose for the first graduation. Like, why Muhammad Ali, he didn't go to the draft, and why not MLK? I was like, this is gangster shit. We going hard. We going for the people who were radical, like Malcolm X and Muhammad Ali, who was the people's champion and not the everybody's champion, right? And so he stood up and said he won't fight for, you know, a country that don't love him. Y'all don't love me. Y'all don't got no respect for me. Why should I put my life on the line? And so I got beat for that, you know. But now it's a entity of its own. All the graduations are funded by the school. Let me tell you, they didn't fund them before. It was like a potluck, honey. We used to make, the students used to be up all night making food. Same with, you know, the Latin graduation, I believe. I wasn't if Dr. G and Dr. Hall could tell you better, but you know, they be cooking all night and stuff. And I had a staff person come in and be like, this like a church, this like a church meeting. You know, after church you go eat. They like this. I was like, don't matter. We're together and we're celebrating. And the parents loved it. So that is what and that's what I would tell as soon as a color who was struggling, how to move forward. Do it for the end. Do it to stand on the stage, because we waiting for you. We planning for you. Yeah.
I really love to hear that. That just got me a little emotional. I'm not gonna lie. I'm here tearing up.
Oh, oh good. I mean, look, I'm getting emotional myself. I'm giving myself chills. But I mean, when we make it happen, when we do what we do, there's no stopping it. The school had to fund it. They had to.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm just so happy that you were able to find and take back. I can't even imagine if you hadn't taken back your power as a professional, just knowing that you got your education for a reason, that you completed your mission, and now that this was your new mission that you had to accomplish. I don't know what would have came out of it if you had not joined or came to Central to kind of like.
Yeah. And Divine, as much as Rowan, I would love this conversation to keep on going, because just hearing you share all of your experiences and stories, it's been so fantastic. We do have to start wrapping up, and we just say that we appreciate you and all you have done for this university and all of our students. And I'm sure all of our listeners who will be listening to this episode just appreciate everything that you do and who you are as an individual, as a person, and as a professor at this institution.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I really, really do. And thank you for giving me an opportunity to tell my stories. I'm very, very grateful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And with that being said, thank you so much for joining us today, Wildcats. If you enjoyed today's episode and you want to hear some of our previous episodes throughout this season 2, you can listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts, or YouTube at Word to the Wildcat.
If you're interested in any other amazing programs that the CLCE has to offer, check out our website at cwu.presence.io and follow our social media pages.
Yeah, and finally, remember, you can receive credit towards earning your Wildcat Leadership Academy certificate by just simply listening to this episode and doing a quick assessment. So you can learn more about that at the CLC website. And with that being said, please join us again for next season. I'm Tommy.
And I'm Areli, and this has been Word to the Wildcat.